Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you 8 ways that you can make your houses a lot more Christmassy, so that you can turn houses like this into houses like this. As you can see, one of them looks as though the North Pole has thrown up all over it, and the other one is a little bit boring. And not only will I show you how to decorate the outside of your houses, but I'll also show you how to add a little bit of Christmas cheer to the inside as well. A lot of this video is going to be highly focused on the outside, but the inside is important too. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. This will be the last Christmas focused video that I post this year. There's going to be plenty more next year, but for now, I'm done with them. If you enjoy stuff like this, please do remember to hit that like button, and legend has it, I'm just saying, legend has it, that Santa will bring you all of the Christmas presents that you want and more if you do hit that like button. I'm just saying. Well, I don't know whether that'll happen for you. I hope it happens, but it will definitely give me a present if you do hit that like. I just really appreciate it. Subscribe for more content. Say hello if you subscribe, and also click that little bell that is connected to the subscribe button, and that'll make sure that you get all of my videos sent straight to your sub box. But without any further ado, why don't I show you how to turn the first house that you saw into this house, giving you 8 tips that you can follow along and apply to any one of your houses. Tip number 1. The first tip that I have for you should be fairly obvious. It's probably one of the first things you think of other than presents when you think of Christmas. It's a Christmas tree. I'm going to show you how to make a really easy, great looking Christmas tree. You'll need spruce wood, spruce leaves, oak fence, item frames, nether stars, end rods. End rods have literally just dropped on console yesterday, so most of you guys should have them. If you're on Pocket Edition, I don't think you have them. And if you don't worry, they're not compulsory, you don't need them, they do just make it look a little bit better. Grab some of your favourite colours of clay. Orange, yellow and green are some pretty cool colours. You'll also need some colours of wool and wooden trapdoors. Let me show you how we're going to build this tree. And by the way, I am using a big giant suburban style mansion for all of these decoration ideas. You don't need a mansion to apply any of these decoration ideas. I'm just using a bigger house just so that you get a better feel of how this all looks at a larger scale. But you can very easily just use a house a half of this size or even a third of this size and it'll work great. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this tree now. I'm going to be placing mine in front of the house, and I don't want it to cover up any of the house. That is something I would suggest. I would figure out the placement of the tree for you, and I'm going to place it outside of the house, pretty close to it, but I don't want to cover up any of the windows or anything like that. So you're going to want to start off with a row of 5 spruce wood coming up from the ground. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Place a spruce leaf on top of that 5th block. Place an oak fence on top of that. Item frames going all the way around, and then once you've placed your item frames, place nether stars inside of the item frames, and these are supposed to replicate the stars that you would get on top of a Christmas tree. Now, to build up the leaves for the tree, you want to come all the way down to the 2nd spruce wood block and extend the spruce wood block in every direction by 3 with the leaves. That's 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Then you want to connect each one of these rows together, and you want to connect them together diagonally. So you basically just want to add a layer of spruce leaves in this fashion to turn those 4 rows into a circle. It's basically just a row of 3 spruce leaves inside the corners of each side. The next layer on top of this tree is going to be added on top, and it wants to be 1 row inwards in relation to the previous circle of spruce leaves. So you can see we've added a layer on top of the tree, and it's just a layer of spruce leaves that is 1 row inwards. The next layer on top of the tree is going to also be the same idea. It's just another layer of leaves, this time 1 row inwards, which is basically just a leaf going all the way around the spruce wood, and then the next layer is identical to that. So you can see that the tree goes from kind of like a little bit of fat at the bottom, and it goes all the way up to the top. Next thing you want to do with this tree, you want to knock out random spruce leaf blocks, and you want to replace them with clay. However you do this is up to you. I wouldn't add too many of them. I would add maybe at the most 5 random blocks. It's better if you have more colors, but you don't have to have that many colors. Also, place end rods strategically around the trees. So I'm going to be placing an end rod all the way around the tree like this, kind of strategic, kind of like that. And those look like candles. Maybe I'll do them in a different fashion. Maybe I'll keep one there. Maybe I won't have them so. I don't think I'll have them so symmetrical. So they kind of look like candles on the tree. That is awesome. Next thing we have to do for the tree is we just have to add wooden trapdoors around the base of the tree. And that looks like a stand for the tree, or at least it does to me. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, just about it for the tree itself. It looks good, it works, it's fantastic. It works outside, and it also works inside as well. So you can do a smaller version on the inside of your house if you like. The next thing that I would add that is tied to the tree is presents. This is where the walls come in. So here we have 4 walls, all bright colors: yellow, green, blue, red. And we're going to take out banners of the same color, so red, blue, yellow, and green. And we're also going to take out bone meal. We need a crafting table for this next part. Oh look, one magically appeared. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing here. We're going to crack open the crafting table. We're going to place our banners in our inventory. And we're going to throw a banner on the crafting table. And we're going to place the banner in the center left spot, or the center right spot, it doesn't matter. And we're going to add a strip of bone meal to the right of the banner. That will create a stripy banner, which will give you this sort of effect. So if you placed a red wall on the ground, and you placed a red banner on each one of the 4 sides of the red wall, you have what looks like a Christmas present. And of course, you can not just only do that with the red, but you can now say take a blue banner, you can throw that in the table, you can add a strip of bone meal to the right of that, and there you have a stripy blue banner. And you can do the same thing with green. You can add a green banner in the crafting table. You can add a strip of bone meal to the right of that. And you can grab the banner and throw it in your inventory. And we can also do the same thing with, what color don't we have? I don't think that we have a yellow one. So we can throw a yellow banner in the crafting table. We can throw the bone meal in there. And we can then grab the banner, and there we have 4 different colors. And all we have to do now is we just have to scatter these colors around the tree like this, and we just have to place the banners going around the individual colors. So you would place your blue banners going around your blue presents, and I'm just moving that green a little further away, and you can place your lime banners, your green banners around your green presents, and your red around your red presents, and you guys get the idea. That way, you get really cool looking presents. They look very, very different. They're very eye-catching as well, and you just have basically a lot nicer presents. You can't really get the effect of presents anywhere else unless you use, say, like a skim pack or something. So there you go, guys. That is the first tip that I have for you. Add a Christmas tree. It will make things look a lot more Christmassy, as you guys might imagine. Tip number 2. So for the second tip that I have for you, something that I always think about when it comes to Christmas, I don't know why, candy canes. To make candy canes, we need a block of quartz and red hardened clay. These can be placed anywhere around the grounds of your house. I, however, am placing 2 on the driveway here. I'm going to place them in, what position should I place them in? I'll place them about here on the left, and I'll place them in the same position on the right. To make candy canes, you need, as I said, a block of quartz and a red stained clay, and you just want to start by placing one of them on the ground. So I'll start with block of quartz, and then on top of that place a red hardened clay, then a quartz, then a clay, then a quartz. Then place a block of the opposite color coming towards you diagonally, so in my case it's red stained clay. Then place the opposite block coming towards you, and then place the opposite block coming one block downwards towards you diagonally. So you can see here that we have a candy cane, and it looks great. You can add just one of them, you can add two, you can add loads, you can do what you want with these things. You could add plenty of them around the grounds or not. I, however, am going to be placing another one here. Is that in an equal position? No, I have to move it one block over. I'm going to be placing one here, and it's going to look the same. So that'll be a block of quartz, red hardened clay, block of quartz, red hardened clay, block of quartz, and then one block above and one block put towards us. I'm going to place a red hardened clay, block of quartz, and then I'm going to place a red hardened clay one block below towards us in that position. And now we have two candy canes in the garden. They look great. And a part 2 to this second tip is actually this. So grab a load of random colourful clays or walls. I've kind of went for the whole spectrum here. On the driveway, and you can kind of do this in any way, like you can place these in lines or you can scatter them about the grounds. I'll show you in a second. But if you place random different colours of clay, kind of like in a pattern, so like, let's say I want to place like red hardened clay here, just left of the driveway, and then behind it I want to leave a gap of one, then like an orange, yellow, lime, light blue, blue, purple, and then like red, and then orange. So we have kind of like a line. It looks kind of, it just reminds me of Christmas. It feels very gingerbread house. It feels very nice. It feels very light. They could be like giant gumballs, or they could just simply be lights. And I'm going to replicate the same thing here on the opposite part of the driveway. And it's just going to feel Christmassy. It will just feel Christmassy. That's the entire point. And whether you want to run them up the drive, or whether you want to kind of just like scatter them about your garden, then it's kind of up to you. You don't have to follow any sort of specific rule. You can kind of throw them about wherever, and it just feels a little bit nicer, a little bit more Christmassy. And that is the second tip that I have for you. Tip number 3. Snowmen. I love to build snowmen. Whenever we get snow here in England, which isn't very often, and typically even when we get it, it's not during the winter, I love to build a snowman, and it is no different in Minecraft. Let me show you how to build a really easy, cute snowman in your world. So you need some block of quartz, some oak fence, some buttons, and some end rods. Once again, I'm sorry if you don't have end rods. I will show you an ulterior version which doesn't use them. So figure out where you want to throw one. I'm going to be building mine right about here, just in the middle of the lawn. And you're going to want to kick it off with 3 block of quartz coming up from the ground. That's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to place buttons in front of the bottom 2 quartz blocks. I'm going to place an oak wood fence left and right of the center quartz block. And I'm going to throw an end rod in front of the top center block. Now, that is a very simple, very easy, it really does kind of look like a snowman, or at least it does to me. Very easy snowman. Now, there are alterations you can make. You can also give it eyes if you like. You can throw eyes on the side of the head. Kind of looks creepy to me when you give it eyes, though. I wanted to. My original idea was to use item frames and to use black wool to give it eyes. You can't do that. I'm not entirely sure why. It won't let you do it. So, my personal favorite snowman is this. The next best one, I would say, is to knock out the nose if you're on Pocket Edition and just give it the buttons. That's not too bad. And of course, you can also mess about with the arm color of the snowman if you wanted to make different variations, and if you wanted to just mess about with him slightly. And of course, you can also mess about with the buttons if you wanted to use, say, stone buttons for the eyes, and if you wanted to use regular buttons, just the wooden buttons for his pockets. And if you wanted to do anything else regarding a nose, I'm not sure exactly what would really fit the criteria for a nose. Maybe you could that kind of looks like a duck. Okay, that doesn't look like a nose, but you guys get the point. You can make a pretty cool looking snowman using very little materials. And I actually quite like this little version that I have now. I quite like the dark oak wood arms. But yeah, that's a cool looking snowman. You can place one of those, you can place many of those around your house, and it'll look great. Tip number 4. Wreaths. I love Christmas wreaths, and there's nothing that says to me Christmas has arrived when I see a wreath on somebody's door. You know when somebody gets all of that like plant wreath, puts it in a circle, adds some bells to it, a little bit of berries here and there? That's what a Christmas wreath is. So it's easy to make one in Minecraft. All you need is basically 2 colors, a green and a red. I'm going to be using lime hardened clay and red hardened clay, and I might even throw a little bit of block of gold in there too, but any colours will work. As long as it's green and red primarily, it doesn't matter. So whether that's a green hardened clay, the red wool, the green wool, the lime wool, the block of redstone, the spruce leaves, you can use whatever you like. For a more authentic look, you would use the spruce leaves, and maybe we'll even try it now. So a Christmas wreath has to be either one of two ways, or at least it does in my certain case with this house. So I want my wreath, right, to be in front of this top window above the entrance. We have a problem. This window is 6 blocks wide. I would prefer it if my wreath was like, say, 5 blocks wide, and then we can make it look more circular. So if you're like me and you're kind of stuck with this, you're stuck with 6 blocks, an easy way around this is to place 2 spruce leaves right in the center of your house, or the center of the wall that you want to put it on, because it looks better in the center. And you're going to want to, from one of those 2 leaves, do 2 up left diagonals, 1 and 2, and then up by 1, then do 2 up right diagonals, right by 1, 2 bottom right diagonals, down by 1, then do a bottom left diagonal to connect everything back together. So as you can see, you still get the circular shape, but I would prefer it if it was a different shape. Like, I'd prefer it if I could get a bit more circular using like an odd number of blocks. An alternate to that is, of course, like, say that you have an odd number that you want to place the wreath in front of, like, it would look like this probably, like you could do like 3 lime hardened clay, and then you could place like 2 diagonals coming up. You could make each one of the sides 3 blocks, and you would have them connected in the corner with a single diagonal, which in my opinion looks a little bit better than the 2. So you can see the 2 like you can see the 2 compared to each other. That's what I prefer, but unfortunately, I am stuck with the even number of blocks for mine. Then all you have to do is you just have to add a little bit of red randomly where the green is. So wherever the green is, knock out some green, add a bit of red. If you want, you can also add like a center point to the wreath. So you could add like, say, some gold, some red, even more green. You could add another little bit of gold. You can add like a center point to the wreath if you want to, and it will look very Christmassy. It'll immediately make your house look a little bit nicer. And that is tip number 4. Very simple tip. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is also equally simple and possibly quite overlooked. Christmas lights. Christmas lights are an easy way to make your house look a lot more colourful, a lot more Christmassy, and it just makes it look a lot brighter as well. To make these, all you need is some colours of wool. I've kind of went for the rainbow spectrum here, but you could easily just use any sort of clay that you wanted. You could mix and match and use some glowstone in there as well, or you could even use some redstone lamps and even redstone itself. Also, as an added bonus, I'm going to be using end rods. Once again, I apologize if you simply do not have end rods. I'm sorry about that, but we have them on console. I'm going to use them. You don't need them, however. It is not required, I can tell you that. So I'm going to hang some Christmas lights around the house. I'm going to start right here underneath the roof on the front left-hand side. I'm going to place an end rod, and I'm going to place a red wool underneath it, like this. And then, here's the pattern that I'm going to do, and I'm going to follow this, and I'm going to follow this all the way over to the right-hand side of the house, whether I go up or down or up or down. Here's what we do. We have the red here in this position. Leaving a gap of 1, upward diagonally, I'm going to place an orange. Leaving a gap of 1, going downwards diagonally, I'm going to place a yellow. Gap of 1 upwards, lime. Gap of 1 downwards, cyan. Gap of 1 upwards, blue. Gap of 1 down, purple. Coming back to the red, gap of 1 up, red, and then here we have a little bit of a predicament here, where we have the roof here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a pattern, maybe like an orange here, a yellow here, and maybe I'll place like a lime green here in this position. So I'm just going to kind of place it randomly underneath the roof, and then like a cyan here, and then I'm going to come down with the blue, and that's kind of like an even pattern. We can't keep to the pattern with this specific type of roof because this is an even roof. It has 2 stairs at the top. However, if you just have a single roof, like if you just have 1 block at the top, you'll likely not have to do this. You'll be able to follow a pattern. But like just placing a block kind of every other block like that, we can just adhere to the pattern. And then coming down across, we're going to leave a gap of 1, and we're going to place purple Actually, purple would be down, so it'd be 1 block down, adhering to the pattern, and then leave a gap. 1 up, gap down, gap up, down, up, and then down, up, down, up. And then we could even place something on the corner if we wanted to as well, kind of like hanging off it if we want. So you can see that we've kind of just randomly yet strategically placed ourselves some Christmas lights. That red on the far right is actually really bugging me. I'll move that in a second. But there we have some Christmas lights. Here's where the end rods come in. So any blocks that you may have placed that are not connected to the ceiling or connected to the roof, and you can connect them to the roof using 1 block, I would use end rods. So wherever you can, and we don't have that many in this instance, just connect the hanging lights to the top using end rods, and it's as simple as that. And I'm gonna just move that red 1 block in. No, I'm not. I'm gonna remove the red completely. There we go. And it's as simple as that, guys. Like, you can have a really nice looking lights using little to no effort, kind of just spread around your house. And that's just the front of the house. I would highly recommend going all the way around. However, I'm not doing it in this particular video because I've already done it once, of course. But it looks very, very Christmassy. Tip number 6. So, tip number 6 is something that you may not have strictly thought of. Christmas banners. Seems fairly obvious to have some Christmas banners, throw them around their house. However, where do you use them exactly? I have an idea. So, all the way around houses in England, probably elsewhere as well, people put stickers in their windows depicting Christmassy things like Santa, Rudolph, that sort of stuff. So what I've done is I've taken 3 banners off the internet that I like. I've not designed any of these myself, and we're going to build these and stick them on the windows to have the same sort of effect. Looks great, adds some colour, nice and Christmassy, what more could you ask for? So the first banner we're going to be making is Santa. To make Santa, you need some white banners, rose red, orange dye, creeper heads, bone meal, and some cyan dye. We want to begin by cracking open the crafting table, and I'm just going to move everything up in my inventory here. And I'm going to place a white banner right in the center of the table. I'm going to place rose red going all the way around the banner, left, right, above, and below. I'm going to grab the new one. I'm going to place the new one in the bottom center of the table, an orange dye on top of it, and a creeper head left of that. Grab the new banner, place it in the bottom center of the table, place a row of bone meal above it. Grab the new banner. Place the new banner in the bottom center of the table, throw 2 rows of rose red just above it. Grab the new banner. Take the new banner, place it in the bottom center of the table, and place a row of cyan dye, if that's what it's called, right across the top of the table. Grab the new banner. Place it in the center of the table, and place a row of cyan dye going all the way around the center, and there you will have a very nice, very Christmassy looking Santa banner that looks exactly like this. However, we're not finished. We need a couple more banners, don't we? So I'm going to throw that in the inventory, and we're now going to make the snowflake banner. To make the snowflake, we need some blue banners, some bone meal, some pink dye, some lapis lazuli, and some oxeye daisies, and some vines. And I'm going to throw these high up in my inventory. I'm going to crack open the crafting table, and to make the snowflake banner, it's fairly simple. You want to use a blue banner right in the bottom left hand side of the table. Place bone meal in a plus shape in the center of the table. Grab the new banner, place it in the bottom center of the table, and make an X with your pink dye in the table. Grab the new banner, place it in the bottom center once again, and make another X using now bone meal in the center of the table. Grab the new banner, place it in the bottom center of the table again, place a lapis lazuli above that, place vines left of it, grab the new banner. Throw the banner once again in the bottom center of the table with a bone meal on top of it this time, and grab some oxeye daisies, throw them left of the bone meal. You will have now a nice looking snowflake banner which will resemble that one. Very nice. And I'm just going to grab everything that we have here, wearing my creeper head, and I'm going to show you how to make this last one. So this last one, very nice, I like it. A nice Christmas wreath. So to make the Christmas wreath a lot more complicated than the last, we're going to need some brown banners, some ink sacs, some cocoa beans, dandelion yellow, creeper heads, which I already have. I'm wearing one, with a skeleton skulls, oxeye daisies, rose red, and some cactus green. I'm going to throw all of these things in my inventory right now. I'm going to crack open the crafting table. To make this, we're going to want to take the brown base and throw it right in the center of the table. We want to throw ink sacs going all the way around the center of that banner. So we want to go all the way around the banner like that, right? We want to grab the new banner. We want to throw it once again in the center of the table, and we want to throw cocoa beans going all the way around the banner. Now, I'm going to grab the new banner, and I'm going to place it in the bottom center of the table. I'm going to throw dandelion yellow on top of it. I'm going to place creeper heads left of that dandelion yellow. Then I'm going to grab the new banner. I'm going to place the banner once again in the bottom center of the table. I'm going to throw a red on top of it, and I'm going to throw a wither skeleton skull left of that. I'm going to grab the new banner. I'm going to place it in the bottom center of the table. There's a lot of this happening. We're going to throw cactus green on top, and we're going to throw oxeye daisies left. We're going to grab the new banner, we're going to throw it in the center of the bottom center of the table, we're going to throw cocoa beans on top, and we're going to grab the new banner, and that will give us a very nice, very lovely banner that looks exactly like that one. Now that we have our 3 banners, we're going to grab them. We're going to put them on the windows that we have around here. So, I'm going to put them in the center of my windows, just because I think that that's where they belong. I'm going to throw one here, and one here. I'm going to try and separate the banners as much as I can. Obviously, it's better if you have more banners for this, but I do think that the effect works very, very nicely. I do like how it looks, and I think that it does just add a little bit of Christmas. So, like I said, the more banners you have, the more I like this effect, but those are the only 3 that are really, really fast and easy to make, and it adds a little something, doesn't it? It adds a little something. I like it anyway. And that concludes tip number 6. Christmas banners. Tip number 7. And this is the last tip that I have regarding the outside of your house. Snow and ice. Very obvious tip. I'm sure that you guys already thought about it. So for this effect, we're going to need snow, ice, packed ice, and I'm going to be needing water. And I'll show you why in a bit. So, you might have thought snow on the ground, pretty obvious, right? Snow on the ground is obvious. We're going to be filling in the entire front garden. Anywhere that we have grass, I'm going to fill it in with snow. And not only am I going to do that, I'm also going to add bits of snow to it. So I'm going to add a texture to the snow. It's not just going to be a flat surface. It'll look like that. I'm also going to add a little bit to the drive. Now, not too much, and apparently I can't even do it to these slabs, but the idea would be, if you can, also add a little bit to the drive. Anywhere that there is foot traffic, say, up at the front of the house here, you'd also still want a little bit of snow, just not as much. However, something that you might not have thought about, if you have any water features around your house, say that you have a nice big fountain, like this, you might want to actually get rid of the water source, and where the water source would have been, you might want to use, say, packed ice. So you could see how the fountain, kind of like how the water fell. It kind of fell like this, right? So the water that we had at the top of the fountain, it was just water, and it kind of came out in that sort of fashion, right? Well, where the water flowed naturally, I've placed packed ice, okay? And then, where the water would have just settled, I'm going to dig 1 row deeper into the fountain. Yeah. And I'm going to place just water once again. So once I've dug 1 row deeper into the fountain, I'm going to place water. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and still. So this doesn't just affect like fountains and stuff, right? Wherever you have water around your house, say you have a lake, say you have a pond, this is where you want to do this. And then where the water would have been naturally, I'm going to place just regular ice. And this is going to give the effect that the water itself flowing from the fountain has frozen, and the stagnant water that would have simply just been sitting in the fountain has turned to ice as well. However, it's not as thick ice, and you can still see through it. So you still get the effect of the fountain using the packed ice. However, underneath where the water was still, we have the regular ice, and we can see the water's still under there. Very subtle, very simple, but really does look great. Now, when you look at the house now, you see the fountain, it's just a little bit of extra added for. And say that you have a pool at the back of the house, something like that. Again, like if you have water, I'm not gonna dig an area underneath the pool and add it. I really can't be bothered. But like adding a similar effect to any sort of open water source, say at the back of the pool, or on top of the pool, or on top of duck pond, or on top of etc, etc, is definitely a good idea. So that's pretty much the tip that I have for the last tip that I have for you for the outside of the house. Add ice, add snow, and it will just look a lot nicer. And that's pretty much the last tip regarding the outside of the house. Add ice and add snow. Make sure that the snow is textured, and say if you have something like a fountain or if you have some sort of landmark outside of your house, make sure that you build up the snow around those areas. So I'd imagine that the snow is a little bit thicker around the edge of the fountain, right? The snow is probably a little bit thicker, so have it like build up around the fountain and then taper down, kind of like that. Or where you have like flower beds, for instance, have like a similar sort of effect, like next to the flower beds, kind of like build it up a little bit and then have it come down. And you can just use this effect absolutely everywhere. It doesn't have to be flower beds and fountains. Apply it to your own world. And that is the final tip that I have regarding the outside, and that is the penultimate tip. Let me tell you the last thing that you can do to make your house more Christmassy. Tip number 8. So once you've finished building outside in the cold and freezing snow, the last thing you want to do is come into a boring cold room. So the final tip I have for you is a nice Christmassy fireplace. To make this fireplace, you're going to need some bricks, some polished andesite, some stone slabs, some stone brick stairs, some flower pots, some ferns, item frames, iron bars, and we need all of the other materials that you can see in the inventory. Grab everything. So the first thing we're going to do is the actual fireplace itself, and this wants to be built one row away from the wall. So we're going to want to begin with 2 bricks on top of each other. We want to take the second brick and extend it to the right by 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Connect it down to the ground. Place iron bars in front of the bottom bricks, spanning the left to the right to create a fire guard. We now want to place a flower pot on the left and right of the tops of the fireplace with stone slabs in between. Place ferns inside of the flower pots. Those just look like tiny little Christmas trees. The stone slabs add texture to the fireplace. Above the fireplace, behind these stone slabs, I want to place polished andesite. I want to place then stone brick stairs next to the andesite facing outwards. 1 row down and 1 row outwards, I want to place another stone brick stair like this coming down diagonally. I'm then going to connect it down to the ground using polished andesite like this. I'm going to take the top 3 andesite that we have right here, and I'm going to extend them to the ceiling. Yours will be different. And I'm going to use stone bricks to do that. Now, I'm going to place item frames in front of the fireplace, in front of the second block coming in from the left and the second block coming in from the right. I'm going to dye some, I'm not going to dye, but I'm going to dye, D-Y-E, some boots. I'm going to make 1 pair of boots green, I'm going to make 1 pair of boots red. You can change the colour of the boots, you can make them any colour you want. In one item frame, I'm going to place 1 set of boots, and in the other, another set of boots. And these just look like little stockings. I would also recommend lighting the fire. So, if you have a lot of burnable stuff around the fire, here's what I'd do. I would simply use redstone block, and I would use redstone lamps for the fire. So it kind of looks like an electric fire. If you do not have a lot of burnable stuff around the fire, I would recommend netherrack and flint and steel, because of course that's a bit more of a genuine Christmas fire. I would also highly recommend adding another wreath inside your house. So just above the fireplace, like a green, red block on top, a green block on top of that, green left and right of the red block. You can use any sort of color combination you want, and you have a nice, very Christmassy looking fireplace. We don't have one in here, but we did have one at the start of the video. I would also recommend Christmas trees. I would also recommend, once again, like Christmas banners. I would also recommend like just presents on the floor, all of that type of stuff. But this is the 8th and final tip. This is a nice Christmas fireplace, and if you've put all of that stuff together, you will end up with this. This is a beautiful Christmas winter wonderland that we have turned a boring house into something which is at least 100 times more Christmassy. Hopefully you guys managed to follow all of these tips along. Hopefully you have something that looks a lot nicer, a lot more Christmassy now. I hope that I've actually managed to help you. If you have enjoyed this video, please do remember to drop a like. I would really appreciate it. Also, subscribe for more if you want to see any more of my content. Say hello if you subscribe, and click the little bell next to the subscription button if you do subscribe, and that'll mean that you actually get all of my stuff sent directly to your subscription inbox, rather than where it goes now, which is, I think, the Nether. I think it goes to Neverland, actually. So, yeah, these things happen. Just click that little bell and nobody will wonder where all of the videos have gone. Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is going to be the last Christmas video that I post. I hope that you guys get everything that you asked for. You have a lot higher chance of getting everything you want if you do like this video. I'm just saying, or at least I'll get what I want if you like the video. Make my Christmas nicer at least, please. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Merry Christmas, everyone.